Okay, let's start with the review, the social studies review. We're going to start with the first topics that are coming in the exam. Number one, summary number one, we talk about weather and climate. Who wants to tell me what is weather and what is climate? Or maybe the difference between them? Something that you remember about weather and climate.
I think that the climate the climates.
Lucia? Remember that some of
weather is a condition of the air at a certain time and place.
And what is climate? Thank you, Gabriela. What is climate, Lucia?
It is the weather of a place averaged over a long period of time.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, Lucia. But remember, weather is in a short period of time and climate in a long period of time. Now, the weather is unpredictable. For example, how's the weather right now? How's the weather right now, class? Look at the window. It's sunny?
Sunny,
Sunny and a little bit. It looks like gonna rain.
It looks like it's gonna
sunny and a little bit
Sunny and cold.
sunny and cold.
a little bit.
And it looks like it gonna rain.
A little bit sunny and a little bit, how we say it, it's cloudy.
Okay, excellent. That's right. It looks like it, as you say, cloudy, as Ian says, maybe in the afternoon it might be raining today. Remember that weather, it changed according to the season, to the seasons that we have in the year. And it depends. If we're in Tegucigalpa, the weather, it looks in that way. But even though we're in Tegucigalpa, it depends in the neighborhood that you are located, because sometimes
Miss, we have to copy this.
No, you don't have to copy. In some places, it might be raining in Tegucigalpa. In other places, it might be sunny, or it might be just cloudy. So, but if you are in another place, if you are outside of Tegucigalpa, it might be a different weather. So that is the weather. Here we have the review. Remember, you don't have to copy anything. Just look for the annotations that you have. Weather is what you get. The conditions of the atmosphere over a short period of time. Is in a short period of time. It can change. Right now, it can be sunny, but later it can be rainy. It's in a short period of time. Or it can be just today sunny and tomorrow it might be rainy. We don't know. That is the weather in a period of time. It can change within the minutes or hours. So climate is different. Climate is what you expect. How the atmosphere behaves over a long period of time. So for example, we have this representation of how it's the climate changing from January to December. It was changing. So we have the average regional weather pattern over decades. It can be from January to December from decades. Long time ago, before you were born, the climate was different. Climate was different. Now it's changing as the period's changing, the weather is changing, as we're contaminating and we're cutting trees, so the climate also is changing. Remember that that affects the weather and that affects the climate also. So that is, don't forget, weather is in a short period of time. It can change within minutes and hours, and climate is in a long period of time. So also we have two major factors of weather and climate. Who can tell me what are these two major factors? The two major factors of weather and climate. You have it in your notebooks. Okay, we have number one, that it's precipitation. That is one of the major factors.
Temperature.
That's right, Gabriela. These are the two major factors. Excellent. You have it in your notebook, precipitation and temperature. What is precipitation? A form of water that falls to the earth's surface. It can be the precipitation, it can be raining, it can be in snow, it can be sleet and hail. So that is precipitation. It's a form of water in different ways. It can be falling down the water as in form of snow or as a rain. So it goes down, it falls to the earth. And what is temperature? Remember that temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. So that is temperature. We use a tool that is called a thermometer. Thermometer, that it's a tool used for measuring temperature. So temperature is how hot or cold is something. And precipitation, how falls the form of water that falls down to the earth surface. Yes, don't forget this is important, the two major factors of weather, precipitation and temperature. Also, we talk about the water is in the air is another major factor of climate. It says that about 3/4 of Earth are covered by water, even though you cannot see it. The air around us contains water too. So that's why you feel that sometimes it's cold because that air contains more water, the sensation, and than in other days. We have humidity. What is humidity?
The amount of moisture.
That's right, the amount of moisture in a given volume and a given temperature. That is humidity. In some places, all the places they can have humidity, but in different levels, in different volumes. For example, even in the desert, you can notice that there is humidity, but it's less. It's less than to be in a forest, to be in the savanna, so it's less, the humidity.
The water in the desert is impossible.
Yes, but the sensation, the humidity is less than to be in the forest. When you are walking, for example, in La Tigra, I don't know if you have gone to the Tigra, that place you feel when you're walking, you feel the humidity, that place. You see a lot of trees, or in another place, I don't know if you have gone to a forest. That's right. Valle de Angeles, I think Valle de Angeles, sometimes, or Santa Lucia, they have this humidity that you feel the sensation is different to be just in Tegucigalpa.
Miss, and in the desert, rains.
It might rain, but not all the time. Yes, there is
One
water.
time in the year.
Yes, one time in a year. So it's not like here that it can be raining today and another day. No, but there is humidity. Yes, there is humidity. It's less than in another place. Again, that is humidity. Don't forget this. Precipitations, temperature, humidity, the definitions of weather and climate is also it's important. Now, in the review number 2, we talk about what causes climate. Who can tell me what causes climate? Jan?
The climate of the place depends on its location. One factor is the distance a place in from the equator.
The equator, that's right. That is one of the causes. What else? That is number 1. One of the factors, that's right. That climate depends on its location. And you mentioned, Sian, thank you, the factors. These factors you need to learn, the factors that affect climate. One is the distance. The place is from the equator. The closer it's from the equator, is going to be hotter. If it is far away from the equator, it's going to be less than. Now, number 2, what is the second factor, class? The second factor is how far a place is from a large body of water, such as an ocean. So the countries, the places that they are closer to an ocean, is different the climate from the places where they don't have one close. Let your microphone, Lucia. That is number 2. What about number 3, class? Number 3, we have the third factor that affects climate is elevation. That is number 3, elevation. So factor number 1, how is the place, what is the distance of the place from the equator? The second factor is how far is the place from a large body of water? And the third one is the elevation. These factors affect the climate of the country, of the places. The elevation means that if they have mountains, if they have big surfaces, so that is going to affect the climate. Okay, continue talking. This is the same summary that we talk about types of climates. Who can mention the types of climates that you remember?
Rainy, sunny,
Cloudy,
cloudy,
Um,
wind,
windy, snowy.
Okay, that what you're mentioning, they are types of weather, not types of climate. Types of weather. You mentioned types of weather. Don't forget that if it is sunny, cloudy, so they are types of weather. Types of climate is tropical climate, one of them. See, Jan?
Tropical climate, polar climate, subarctic climate, temperature climate.
Excellent. They are the types of climate. Don't get confused. Don't forget, you need to learn by heart this. Types of climate is different from types of weather. You mentioned the types of weather. Now, Sian mentioned the types of climate. Tropical climate is number one. What it mentioned, remember it. This tropical is when it's warm all the year. So these places are near the equator. For example, Honduras, we're close to the equator and it's warm all the time. Sometimes we feel a little bit cold, but not as in other countries that all the times they are cold. No. So tropical climate, that is number one. You see here the picture. It's warm and they're close to the equator. That is number one. Now, what is the number two? Number two is the polar climate. Here we have the picture. Remember that this is the polar climate, it is coldest climate. So they are in the United States, in Alaska has polar climates. They have these countries, they have the polar climates. Why? Because they are close to the North and the South poles. So the countries, the places that they are closer to the North or the South poles, they have this type of climate, polar climate. That is number two. Tropical climate, it's warm all the year. They are closest to the equator. Polar climate, they are the coldest climates. They are close to the North and South poles. And we have number three, the subarctic climate. What is the subarctic climate? They are closer to the North Pole. They are closest to the North Pole, like Alaska. It can be warm periods in summer are short and parts of the state are covered with snow. So they have snow, but they can be warm also. It's not cold like the previous one. The polar, it's cold. But the subarctic climate, they have snow, but there is a sun. Look at the picture, there is a sun. So it can have warm periods in the season, in summer, for example, independent of the season. It can be short, but they have some snow. So it means that the people and the animals that live here, they might migrate to another place when they don't find some food, but when they is sun, so they can wake up if they are hibernating also. So this is number three, subarctic climate. And we have the number four, that is temperate climates. How does it look, the temperate climates, like these pictures? They are between the tropical and the subarctic climates. So it's not hot, not cold, the temperature. It's moderate. Temperate climate is not hot, not very cold. Like here in the picture. Imagine if you're in this place, you're not going to be wearing a sweater because it's not cold. It doesn't look cold just by looking at the sky. So that is the temperate climate.
Miss, and when it's cold, what the sky turns?
Remember that sometimes when it's cold, the sky look like gray. It look like gray because it's cold. Or sometimes you can see the sky in this way, but there is a lot of air. So it depends. It depends. But most of the times when it's cold, I have noticed that the sky, it looks gray, not like this. That it's, you see the difference clouds that you can identify here. Now, don't forget these types of climates. Don't get confused types of climates with types of weather. Now, any questions about these types of climates? No?
are really easy and
Easy.
are
Now I'm going to make some questions. Let's see if you remember. Who can tell me what is weather? What is weather?
That
It's the condition
that-
of the air of a certain time and place.
is short.
When it's in a short period of time, the conditions of weather, that's right, Gabriela, when it's in a short period of time. And what is climate?
Is the weather
In a
of
long
a
period of time.
place with a place average over
It is the weather of a place, a region of a long period of time.
That's right, in a long period of time, the conditions of the weather in a long period of time. Remember that it can be around decades of the climate. The weather is unpredictable. The weather is in a short period of time. It can change within minutes and hours. Now, what about the types of climate? Who can tell me the different types of climates? Different types of climates.
Tropical, polar, subarctic temperature.
temperate climate.
That's right. Now, I'm going to mention the characteristics and you're going to tell me what is the type of climate. This type of climate is the coldest climate.
Subarctic climate.
The coldest climate. It's around the North and the South Pole.
Subarctic climate.
Polar climate.
Polar climate. It's close to the North Pole and South Pole, so it's a polar climate. That's right. What about the climate that is very warm all the year? They're close to the equator.
Tropical climate.
Tropical, that's right. This type of climate, it's not hot, not very cold.
Temperature.
Temperate climate.
Temperate climate. And what about the one that it can be warm in summer and also can be covered with snow?
Subarctic.
Subarctic climate.
That's right. They are closest to the north. Excellent. Another question for you. What is precipitation?
Is it the amount of rain or snow that falls?
The amount of rain or snow that
It is the amount of rain or snow that falls.
That's full. That's right. And what is precipitation? What is temperature?
it's a how
warm or cold a place is.
What
It's
is
a now warm or cold place.
humidity?
It's the amount of
Is it the amount of moisture in the air?
Excellent. Now, who can mention the 3 factors that affect climate? 3 factors that affect climate.
The distance of the equator.
The distance from the equator. What else? That is number 1.
What is
One of the factors that affect climate is the one that Fernando mentioned. That is in a place from the equator, the elevation. That's right, Gabriela. It's missing 1.
precipitation?
No. How far? It's one place from large body of water. Okay. Don't forget to study this information. I'm going to upload this presentation also, so you study from your notebook or you can use this presentation. So let's finish here. Let's finish the class here. Let's do review. See you next class. Bye-bye.
I see you in the
Bye-bye.
other class. Bye.